Fan, short for fanatic, is the one who's screaming their lungs out in sub-zero degree temperatures, still believing when the chips are down, and never, ever giving up on their teams or their players. From the closest seat to the worst one, we want to meet you all. This is the American Fan.
What's going on, sports fans? It's Josh Williams back again with another edition of the American Fan 365 podcast. I'm joined by the front row. Ro, how you doing today? How's your weekend?
I'm doing fabulous. My weekend was really nice and chill.
Yeah.
Watched a lot of the Summer League games. Excited for everything sports related this week, and I'm really excited this week because we have a very special guest joining us. And you know, it's rare for me to be like, oh my God, I'm so glad you're here. But so this week we have joining us is Ian Rubel, who is the managing partner for Premier Sports Agency that is here for Summer League. Ian, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited.
And Ian, I'm not sure if you've seen the episode of Veterans Minimum where Nick had shouted you out as one of the people that had his Patreon and everything. And when I heard your name, is that how you found us? How did you find out about our show?
I believe I found you through either George or John.
Okay.
Either
okay.
posting on Instagram, checked out your show, found it interesting. I like the way you guys. I like the dynamics. I like it's not an argument; it's a discussion.
Yeah.
When you watch ESPN, Fox Sports, it's always a battle. It's always just someone trying to fight or be louder than the person next to. Here, you guys might have different opinions, but at the end of the day, you guys just have a smile on your face and you move on. You guys have your teams. It's a discussion as opposed to an argument.
Yeah.
And I enjoyed that better. I don't listen to radio, like sports radio. I don't even like to talk to that many fans about sports because they're so emotional about it. I like listening and talking to people that are knowledgeable and that I can learn from, and maybe will point out a point or two that maybe I didn't think of.
Yeah.
And that's really, I really turned it to podcasts during the day. I have my TV in the corner and I'll stream like podcasts all day long and sports and not, mainstream. People don't even know about these things. And there's such great content out there. And I'm excited to see even where the podcast industry goes and where these people, maybe these no-name podcasts that, like you mentioned Nick. I think Nick he's phenomenal the way he talks about the fight game and the bets that he places and I like his demeanor.
Yeah.
And the information that he, has and obtained.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting, when you talk about just the discussion aspect and when you talk about, everyone that has a different team. One thing I will say that is the coolest thing about doing what we're doing right now is when you do start to travel and you do start to see people from all around the country, we all just cheering for our colors. When it comes down to it, you know, there's an emotional attachment that we have for our teams. But as long as you understand that you're exactly like me and I'm exactly like you, and you can high five everyone in the stands, it's meant to be fun. I
will add though, it is from a fan's point of view.
Right.
We are emotional about certain things. There are certain things that are subjective and some things that are not subjective, okay?
Yes.
And I will say that what I like about us, we take in that aspect of it. I will say it is difficult for me to have a conversation with somebody that's insisting on something that doesn't know what they're talking about. And this is why I always kind of want to do a discovery like, so why is this team your favorite team? Why have you rooted for them? Who's your favorite quarterback? Why? Not the best, because you can Google that, but it's very important to me. I will tell you, though, I can't have a discussion with somebody that's also biased, that's so deep-rooted. And, I hate Boston teams, period. But I don't have a problem saying
this person's great.
At all.
Yeah.
At all. And that's so when people are just like they hate the Yankees or they hate the Giants. And I love that you're wearing a Giants shirt today. Thank you very much. Or the Lakers. If you irrationally hate somebody without, I can't stand Boston, but I can tell you that some of the greatest athletes that I've ever seen have come out of Boston. But not commentators, and I wish Kendrick Perkins wasn't there. But that's just me. But I love that we can all have an opinion, and that's what it is. At the end of the day, we don't ever do gotcha questions. We don't want to be combative, but we will take people to task if they're insisting on something. We want to know that you know. That's all.
Right.
Yeah. Now, Ian, before we get started, how long have you been working with Premier, and tell us a little bit about your agency and what you all do.
Okay. Well, I started my basketball career. I went to the University of Massachusetts in Amherst, and John Calipari was the head coach there. Worked for him for a couple years, and he became the New Jersey Nets head coach. I did my last semester of college. I did an internship with the Nets, and he had hired me to come work full time in their scouting department, which is all great. 3 months after I get hired, he ends up getting fired.
Yeah.
It just turns out though, like I had a more basketball specific job after he got fired. I wasn't really his errand boy or just his like intern anymore. I had a more basketball specific job, and I worked for the New Jersey Nets from 1999 to 2005 in their scouting department. We got to the NBA Finals twice, lost to the Lakers, lost to the Spurs. Involved in all the draft preparation, the trades. We traded for Jason Kidd. We made a big draft day trade to get, and we got Richard Jefferson, Jason Collins, those type of players.
Vince Carter.
That was later on. That was after I left.
That was after you left?
Yeah, that was after I left.
Really?
Yeah.
Might have been. All right.
So
I was trying to remember because you said 2005.
Yeah, the first trade we made was for Marbury.
Okay.
And then we traded Marbury for Kidd.
Kidd,
and that
that's
was
right.
just changed. It just changed the whole dynamic.
Yeah.
Changed the entire team.
Just his work ethic and how he elevated every player around him. It's just phenomenal. First day of training camp, practice. He practiced like he played. He would dive for loose balls into the bikes that are on the side.
Sure.
Guys weren't taking off practices anymore. He was calling out players to work harder in a quiet way, in a respectful way. He was just a leader by example type. Just learned so much being around that atmosphere. Rod Thorne, Jason Kidd. We had Ed Stefanski was a general manager who went on to be president of the 76ers and worked for the Raptors, worked for the Grizzlies. Now he's with the Pistons. Just got a master's degree in basketball through them. And then after working for the Nets for a few years, a company in New York City called Pinnacle Management asked me to come work for them. Became senior vice president over there. Worked for them for 10 years. We've had 35 NBA players, hundreds of players that played internationally. And then a few years ago, I started my own business, and it's been doing well. Like I really enjoy working for myself. Just been phenomenal.
Do you? I'm sorry, Ro. Do you currently have NBA guys, or are you
couple
more focused
NBA
overseas?
guys. Majority of my guys are overseas. A lot of them play in Asia. A lot of them play in Europe. Some in South America, and some young guys that play in the G League, trying to make them way in. Guys in the summer league trying to get their ways, and not getting many minutes out here.
Yeah.
But perception is sometimes reality. So if you see an NBA team is interested in you, it raises their value. So even if they're just sitting on the bench and not playing,
I always
I'm
say
okay
that
with
perception is reality. That's 1,000%. And actually, my old boss, Sean Christie, that he's the one. He's like, Ro, it's always perception that'll even get your foot in the door a lot of times.
Yeah. And like I tell my guys, like I don't want to rely on luck for these guys, but I want them to be in a position to be lucky. I want people to speak about them well. Just work hard in practice. Be a good teammate. Be great on the bench. Cheer. Eyeballs are on you. If you're going to make it to the NBA, you're going to be a fringe NBA player. Well, you have to be a good teammate. You have to cheer your play. You have to be the first one off the bench to give fist bumps to these guys. And that's a lot of what I talk about with these players. Just be mentally stronger than everybody else. Talent will get you so far, and there's such a fine line between guys that make it and don't make it.
Yep.
If you go to an empty gym and you see guys working out, you don't know the guy who's making $10 million and who's the guy making $60,000 a year.
The high level is high level.
It's so close between it. But if you speak to them, you'll be able to figure out who has, who's got it and who doesn't. Sometimes.
Well, and we're saying that having a thick skin will actually take you a longer way than first thought, right? And to me, and it actually gives more credence to the 80s and 90s and early 2000s teams because they had to deal with a lot of stuff. I saw something recently, a clip from Draymond Green where he was like, I hate my job, but I love what I do, but everything that comes with it.
Yeah.
Right. And so you have to have that, like you do with any other job. But I guess it's just when you're on a world stage, it's much more different. So yes, there's discipline and there's talent, but you also have to be able to take it.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a job to these guys. To us, it looks like they're living, everybody's dream, to be a professional athlete, make millions of dollars. But to some guys, they'd rather be doing something else.
Yeah.
It's just
this
is what they're good at, and
That's
this is
right.
what they're making money. This is what they're providing.
That's right.
So it's difficult. A lot of when I talk to players, I don't talk to players about basketball. I'm not going to help anybody with their jump shot or their ball handling, but I want their minds to be open and thinking about what are you going to do after your career? Yeah. What are you going to do after practice? Practice, you're only in the gym 2-3 hours a day. What about the 24 hours during the day? What else are you going to be doing? Like take classes, do reading, listen to podcasts, learn whatever you're interested in about. And I feel like that helps them on the court just because you don't have to stress about basketball, from 9 a.m. until game time. Let's do other things. Let's think about other things. Let's learn different cultures. Like they're playing overseas, I think it's an important thing to take in
the culture that they're
the food, the respect. Go see the sights. Some of these guys do, some of these guys don't. But whether they listen to me or not, I know they hear me. So that's good enough for me.
Is basketball your favorite sport to watch?
Not now.
That's right.
Not now. Now it's
people do not understand that. Whenever I tell people that, they're like, "Why isn't basketball your favorite sport anymore?" It's like because I've watched more basketball than 30 people in this room put together.
Yeah, I used to watch 150, 200 games a year, video scouting.
Yeah,
doing all those things.
You know good basketball. So watching bad basketball and then people perpetrating like it's good basketball.
I like what you just said about knowing good basketball. Growing up, I was a big college hoops fan.
Yes.
I was Big East, Syracuse, St. John's, Georgetown. I even like, the old UNLV teams from the early 90s. But once I got involved working in the NBA and I saw how great these players are and how good the worst players in the league, when they're shooting threes, they're making 85 out of 100.
Yeah.
I'm talking about in the gym when nobody's guarding them. They're making every shot.
Yes.
Without defense and all that. These guys are so talented. They're so athletic. They're so big. They're so strong. And then now I watch college games and you see a lot of missed shots, a lot of bad passes, Well,
this is all, I attribute this to the three-point culture now. I forgot what player said this, and I'll remember it at some point, but he said, I'd rather make two than take two shots. So just the whole game has changed.
Absolutely. From when I first started, sorry to cut you off.
No.
It was a big man league.
Yes.
You had Patrick Ewing, you had Olajuwon, you had Robinson, all those guys. And I'm talking early 2000s even. And just as time developed, now it's the three-point game. Now it's a guard-driven league. Now you need to have elite guards to win.
Yeah.
Without elite guards, it's really tough to win.
Yeah.
You see with even like Miami, if they get Lillard, it could be lights out. They could just dominate this league, dominate.
Well, and I think that super teams, the creation of super teams has also shifted the sport for me. I appreciate teams like the 80s Bad Boy Pistons, who really became great on their own, right? And then collectively.
Yeah.
But they weren't. It wasn't, a time for superstars to come together because there wasn't. I mean, the first superstar that I really remember, I went to my first professional sporting game. I was 6 years old. It was 1984. Yes, I'm 45. It was a Lakers game. My dad used to deal at the bicycle club, and he was actually Jerry Buss's personal dealer, and we got tickets. And a lot of people are like, oh, so you're a Lakers fan and you're a Yankees fan. Why not just be a Cowboys fan? No. I mean, I was raised mostly back east, but I was born in Santa Monica, and I had the opportunity to go to a lot of Lakers games. I want to say the first superstar that I knew to be one was Magic before Kareem, actually, because he was Showtime, and it was Pat Riley that actually put all of that together, which is a whole nother thing with Jeannie Buss. But when Braun had a press conference and said that he's going to take his talents to South Beach, that was, to me, the very clear era, the beginning of an era of a super team creation. So for me, it's very difficult because now I'm seeing these superstars, not as superstars, but as carpetbaggers. Because nobody, listen, I love Charles Barkley. I hate that he didn't get a ring, okay? I love that some of my favorite players to ever play the sport never got a ring. I understand why this happens, but to me, I'm like, there's no heart in these teams anymore.
Yeah.
That's
well, there's no loyalty, there's no allegiance to a fan base. When you really think about it, players from those eras, they can have car washes in towns, they can have restaurants because they literally took root in that city. To Rose's point, a lot of these players now, you think about it. Well, where are they going to retire his jersey? Right. I don't know. You know what I mean? Like when I was in Denver, we were talking about whether they should retire just 15 once Jokic ends, and then you kind of just say Carmelo and Jokic, and you just say the number's gone.
Right.
Or if 15 becomes like 88 with the Cowboys, and it's like our best player gets 15.
Let me ask both of you this: when you think of Carmelo Anthony, do you automatically go to New York or do you go to Denver?
I go to New York, but that's maybe because I live in New York.
I do too.
See, I see both because look, New York Melo didn't have braids. Denver Melo had the braids.
New York Melo had a different swag altogether.
Yeah, New York Melo was more of a three-point shooter, was more of a pull-up guy. Denver Melo was aggressive. He would dunk on you. He had mid-range.
He had mid-range in New York.
Oh no, of course, but I mean his shot, he wasn't dunking on people in New York. He would go to the basket, but his athleticism had started to wane, especially towards the end of New York. Like the beginning, he was still the same, but then
I think his presence. I agree. I think his presence, though, was a bigger deal in New York.
Oh, for sure. Well, league-wide, for sure. That's not a question. He went to New York, and you immediately said, "Oh, the Knicks have a chance to win a title." Right. They have Amari Stoudemire. They had the pieces and the trappings of, okay, we're gonna go get this done. They just didn't get it done.
Right.
So.
Yeah.
But I look at him as an all-time great for the Denver Nuggets. When you think of the Knicks all-time great, he's not the first name that comes up in your head because of the history of New York basketball from the Denver.
That's right.
I would think he would be 100% going to get retired in Denver. It might take some time, and ultimately they will do it because they'll want to honor him.
Yeah.
But
He's gonna have to wait. He's gonna have to wait now until Jokic gets done.
Well, I think they should do something like at a bodega for Melo or something, or like in the subway. Maybe have a plaque.
You could retire the number and still like have Jokic,
keep going.
Yeah, grandfathered in type of deal. What bothered me? You heard Keith Hernandez?
Yeah.
The Mets?
Yeah.
17 got retired last year. Now Ohtani wears 17.
Yeah.
He's not going to give up. He's not going to give it up. Like if Ohtani wants to come to the Mets, he's going to tell him no.
Sometimes they do. Sometimes
they do.
That bothers me, and I like Keith Hernandez, but just like, as a New Yorker, who wouldn't want to have Ohtani come play there? Personally, I'd like to see him stay where he is, but if not, I don't want to see him go to the Dodgers or the Padres.
Jesus, don't go to the
Well,
Giants.
and here's the other side of that coin. For a Kobe jersey, all my Kobe jerseys are 24 for the reason that it's Kobe and Ken Griffey Jr.
Okay.
So,
Ken Griffey Jr. was my favorite player as a child.
Yeah,
Ken Griffey Jr. and Bo Jackson. Those were the guys I loved.
I mean, icons, right? Like with the home run derby. When I hear that, I automatically think Ken Griffey Jr., right? So,
yeah.
But so with the jersey numbers, I mean, it could be something good, and that is the only example I can give you is Kobe and Ken Griffey with 24.
Yeah. Well, let's go ahead and switch gears over to Summer League. We can go ahead and go around the table, talk about some of the highlights. I know, Ian, you were saying that you were running around in between the gyms in Summer League. Do you have any moments that you caught that you really enjoyed?
I was impressed watching Scoot Henderson before he got injured. I really think he's going to be an elite guard. Like we said, this is a guard-driven league. I think he has superstar potential. Unfortunately, he hurt his shoulder, I think, in the second quarter of the first game that he played in. But he had 13 3-3 in the first quarter and just was taking the ball to the hoop strong. You could just see he's faster and stronger. And at that age, I think he's going to be dominant. The Thompson twins have been playing really well. I saw the Lakers Summer League team. They had a few guys under the radar that I was really impressed with. Colton Collinswood, I think his name is. Looks like he can be another one of those guys that's going to help the team during the season. They signed him for a two-way, but I ultimately think he'll make his way onto the Lakers roster. I was impressed by what the Lakers have done, since the trade deadline and onto the free agency. It was some of these under the radar signings that I think are really going to end up, helping them.
Yeah.
I'm just happy that the Lakers got Austin. I thought Austin was for sure out. They got Rui. They got
You switching up? Oh, no. I think
no. Really, I'm just
Oh.
just off the Lakers. I'm not switching up.
Oh, okay.
For me, for Summer League, I mean, it was all eyes on Wemby, and that dominated what I wanted to watch.
Right.
And so that was number one, and number two was Scoot versus Brandon Miller. So because those are the headlines for me,
Right.
and that's what kind of captured. I mean, I made notes on like different people that caught my attention that I'd never heard of, but I will tell you, it was Wemby watch for me.
Yeah.
And I guess that's a whole nother conversation. But before we get into that, Josh, what did you take away?
I mean, for me, that I think. Well, I didn't see the stats from yesterday's game, but the first round pick for the Wizards, Bilal. I can't remember how to pronounce his last name just yet. He and Wemby both kind of struggled in that first game. I know Wemby came back, had a great second game, and then also Johnny Davis, who was our first round pick last year, still out there struggling a little bit too.
Right.
So it's like
I don't put too much stock into summer league performances. To me, each game is different. Summer league game is different. Preseason games are different.
Yes.
Regular season games are different.
Yeah.
Playoff games are different. To me, it's more about developing players, getting these young players that you drafted around your coaching staff,
Yeah.
working them out, seeing what type of leader they are. It's going to be different roles they're going to have in summer league than they will in the regular season. So to me, the performances, I don't get too high or too low based on how somebody does.
I will say, I will say, I guess the one thing I will take away from Summer League, though, is if you have something in you where it looks like you're aggressive and, you can create shots, I think sometimes, especially for rookies, when they come out flat in Summer League, especially if they're kind of high, pumped up there,
Right.
that usually tends to bleed over into the regular season or into the preseason where it's like, oh, he's not starting. Interesting.
I have a different take from both of you.
Okay.
There are men still fighting to be on the roster. You have men from the G League. You have people from overseas that want to come back. You have these draftees. I think it is I see it differently because
How so?
Well, because this is your chance to show out.
Like they should be doing. Well, I guess my thing with Summer League is the reason I stopped going is because it's basically bad AAU basketball to me. That's how Summer League looks.
Well, they don't have enough practice time.
We're getting 10 fouls.
And they don't
We're
know
not fouling out.
But it's a really good, just kind of like fingerprint or just like an instant, just okay.
It's a snapshot of
It
what
is
they could be.
Yes.
Or what they might be.
Yeah.
But just necessarily if you have a bad summer league does not necessarily mean you're going to have a bad rookie season.
Sure.
The roster is totally different. Some players play better with better players
with
around
other
them,
people,
certain positions. If you're a big man, you need a shooter. You need a good point guard. It depends on what position you're playing.
We're actually running sets.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They don't know. They've had a couple practices. They don't know their teammates.
Right.
It's not fluid. It's not about being connected with your teammates and your coaching staff. So it's extremely different.
And culture, a lot.
Yes.
And culture, people don't take into account that if you're coming from overseas, there's an acclimation period.
Yeah,
that's
absolutely.
that as
to the style of basketball.
and not
for
only
sure.
that, but your whole world. I mean, and as an 18, 19-year-old is overwhelming. So people don't take that into account.
I work with a lot of international players, and what I've found is these international players adjust sometimes quicker to the NBA style and lifestyle better than the American kids because they've been pros since they're 15, 16 years old.
Yeah.
They've had to move out of their home and take care of themselves wherever they went. So now coming back to the United States, they're ready for this.
Yeah. At least for that aspect of it, for sure.
These American kids have been coddled their whole life. Everything's been done for them.
Yep.
Now it's their first time alone, but there's a transition period for everything. So support staff on teams is very important. Certain teams take care of these players great. Some other times rely on the agents or they're out on their own.
They are literally like the guys that I've sent overseas. They're literally by themselves.
Right.
90% of the time.
So when I work, I deal with a lot of partners overseas. So I have somebody on the ground helping them each day. It's a split commission, obviously, but at least they're able to, if there's an issue or a problem or with their internet, with their heat, with any of their things, which moving around from just having a car, driving on the other side of the road, those type of things. These guys have to
It's legit.
But that's a big deal, right?
Yeah, legitimately.
And what I found, guys who haven't come from top colleges and haven't been pampered their whole life. Maybe they went from a mid-major or Division II.
For sure.
They adjust better and quicker than the guys who play maybe at Miami or North Carolina or Duke.
Yeah.
The guys who come from Division II, they're used to these long bus rides.
That's right.
They're used to not,
convenience, not having
the locker room, not being, carpeted or any of that stuff, or heated, and the gym's being cold. They're used to that. So sometimes, I'll have an ACC, honorable mention, all ACC guy who won't make it over in Europe, and a guy who comes from Division II that you never heard of, all of a sudden becomes
a star over there.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yep.
So it comes down to life skills.
A lot of times, maturity.
Yeah,
maturity is a big thing.
And also because that guy that you're talking about that went to the big school that expected to get to the league,
right?
When it doesn't happen for them, like you said, they've been coddled. Jamal and I were literally talking about this earlier because he had a little bit of a run-in with Chet Holmgren in the back of USC 290, and a lot of the stuff that these guys go through, you have to consider. They've been told they're going to the league since they were about 12, 13. The ones that really, really go. Now, granted, there's going to be your Jimmy Butlers that have to work and grind, Russell Westbrook, that get better. But a good chunk of that first round was told, hey, you're going to the league. Somebody's saying you're going to the league your whole life.
Yep.
So you've been told that since you were 12 and just continue on. Whereas, when we talk about UFC fighters, a lot of them don't claim stardom until they're like 30. So they've already really established who they are as a person, who they are as a man.
The grind is so much different.
Yeah, I mean, it's just it's a little bit differently because he was like, why would he disrespect? And I was like, well, he's 19. He has probably $15 million already saved. Just little stuff. There's little dynamics where it's like,
listen,
it's a totally different thing.
If someone gave me $20 million or $10 million when I was 18, 19, 20 years
not
old,
the same man.
I'd be a different person
not
than
the
I am
same
today.
Man.
Maybe I'd probably be worse off, to be honest with you. I always respect the guys that each year improve a little bit. It's a hard lifestyle when the peak is when you're in your 20s.
Yes.
And then when you're in your 30s and 40s, it's just hard work ethic to continue on. You can't go from making $7 million a year to an entry-level job position somewhere. Just work ethic-wise, it's impossible to do.
Well, and ambition, it changes, right? It evolves. What you wanted in your 20s. I always think it's so strange when people say to me, Ro, you're so different. Well, I'm glad I am. I mean, I feel like it's strange when you don't evolve and what you want based off of what you've seen in the world doesn't evolve. So, maybe in their 20s and 30s, they were like, I want to be big dog. But now they're like, you know what? I don't want to be in the limelight. I just want to invest and make something. It's
amazing what I've seen. One of the best life lessons was just early on. Like any kid, I wanted to just be rich, have a nice car, nice house, nice jewelry, all that stuff. I worked for the Nets. And an entry-level position. No. It's not the Nets part.
It was the dry work for the Nets to start. That's what did.
And I made very little money. I started with nothing. Then I got a very small salary.
Yeah.
And I saw my life was just as good as these guys or better than theirs. My family, my friends, everything around me. I was happy. I was living exactly doing exactly what I wanted to do at that point in my life. The only thing that they had better, they were driving maybe a Bentley. I was driving a Honda Civic. Other than that, everything else in my life was better than theirs.
Well, a lot of times that money goes to fill a void, right? So it's like...
And there's always something better. If you have a $70,000 car, there's the $150,000 car. If you have the $300,000 car, there's that $1 million car, There's always another level to everything.
Always another level.
Right.
For sure. Well, sticking with the NBA, we can go quickly just since we have you in the building, Ian, to talk about the NBA free agency, who you think won different parts of free agency, and then we'll go ahead and switch over to MLB. I know Ro wanted to ask you about Draymond Green. She has her well, we both have our feelings on Draymond Green for sure. So go ahead, Ro.
So as an agent, I wanted to there are two specific contracts that just didn't, to me... I am not in your line of work, but as a fan and have, I've watched sports almost all my life, right? And I've seen contracts. Draymond's $100 million 4-year contract didn't make sense to me. Neither did LaMelo Ball's 5-year Hornets contract that's worth up to $260 million. I want to talk about Russell Westbrook too. I hate Kyle Kuzma, so let's just leave him out of it. But So I guess with Draymond, did that make sense to you?
100%.
Okay.
I think it was a win-win for both sides.
For both sides.
For both sides. I think Draymond could have got maybe a little bit more money per year on average in a smaller contract with another team. Draymond wouldn't be Draymond. Draymond's a competitor. Draymond wants to win. Draymond likes being, I think Draymond wants to be in the Hall of Fame. I think he's driven by championships. I think he's driven by awards. I think he's happy there. I think the contract opting out, getting the extension of 4 years was great for him. He could have got more, like I said. I think for Golden State, it made a lot of sense keeping the core together. I'm always about if you have a championship, if you can compete for a championship, don't break it up. Don't do what the Bulls wanted to do.
That's right.
Let's run it back. You got Steph Curry. He's still Steph Curry.
Yeah.
How many more years you have? I don't know. 3, 4, whatever. Let's keep Draymond. Let's keep Clay. Let's find out if we can win a championship again. I think they're right there in the mix.
For sure.
Again, why would you not want to bring back Draymond?
Do you? I think
bringing Chris Paul, just changing it up a little bit, I think was smart. I think having the maturity level. I think there was obviously an issue between Draymond and Jordan Poole. I think bringing in Chris Paul, he's a competitor. Yeah. He's feisty. He has, to be great, you have to have a little. You have
edge,
to be exactly. Jason Kidd had that edge to him.
And now he has a chip on his shoulder too.
There's nothing better than having a chip on your shoulder, with that. And I think I'm excited to see what this Golden State team looks like. I'm excited to hopefully they stay healthy. Hopefully Draymond continues. Steph Curry, Clay gets back to being, top Clay. Chris Paul, he's not slowing down. I know his age is up there, but I'd like to see him. If he won a title, that'd be a great story for him. He's obviously a Hall of Fame career, one of the best point guards in the game that's ever seen. Let's, running it back with Steph. Steph could play off the ball, vice versa. I like that deal for both sides, to be honest with you. You want to sign a 2-year, $60-70 million contract with a mediocre team and not have a chance to compete, maybe lose in the first round, second round of the playoffs, or have your legacy win another championship with the Warriors. I saw an interview with Draymond and talking about the LeBron incident in the finals. It bothered him because he would have been probably would have been MVP of that series, and that would have been another thing that could have got him to be a Hall of Famer. And I like that he's driven by that championships and Hall of Fame.
Yeah,
it's not.
I think he's listen, in today's Hall of Fame, I worked at the Hall. I think in today's Hall of Fame, he's definitely in the Hall of Fame now. I think my only issue with the contract was the length of it.
Me
because
too.
I think, money in the NBA now does not make sense. So some guy might get this and some guy might get this, and you're like, it's the same guy. But that wasn't my thing. It was the length. In 4 years, I think Draymond is going to be close to what he is right now for 2 more. And then you got 2 more where you're
contracts are high, but they're only going to be going up as well.
Yes.
So what you
true.
think is a bad contract today, in 4 years from now,
is a
come
steal.
back. If you saw deals that were done last year, Mitchell Robinson, $15 million, R.J. Barrett, $21 million, or low 20s.
Yeah.
They look like great contracts now.
Yeah.
But last year you would have been like,
oh God, that's a bad deal.
But again, it was the length of the contract for me. My prediction was 2 years with the Lakers, worth between 45 and 50. I think he can win a championship with the Lakers. Yes, I agree with Golden State running it back, and why mess with that?
I think those were the 2 teams that he would consider, was the Lakers and Golden State. But I think he's comfortable where he is.
He's not playing for 4 more years though.
Shoot, he gonna ride that contract out. I'm just saying it's not gonna be a good deal in year 4. He's not gonna retire.
Listen,
he's gonna get that money.
he has a work ethic like none other.
Yeah.
4 years. I hear what you're saying, but I wouldn't be shocked if he's still playing at a high level, and it's not the worst deal that you've ever seen.
Okay.
So I actually want to switch it up. I'm sorry. I have a really, 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 really big problem with this contract, and that's Dillon Brooks for $80 million. Huge problem.
86.
80, disgusting. I don't think he is worth a fraction of that.
Listen,
I coached Dillon, so
it's what the market. It's what the market brings. If you have multiple teams interested in you, it's a negotiate. Everything's a negotiation, and it doesn't need to be unanimous. Majority of people would agree with you. Dillon Brooks, that type of money is crazy. But if you have 3, 4, 5 teams wanting to get your services, that contract gets escalated.
That's right.
You were talking about Russell Westbrook. There's probably only a few teams. Aging superstars is one of the worst players to have on your team. From going from $47 million to $4 million, 2 years, $8 million, correct?
Oh, that's right. Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
$4
yes.
million a year.
$4 million, yeah. It's 2 for 8.
But if you look at the contract more closely, it's a player option for year 2. So he wins a championship. He goes to the Western Conference Finals. He has a great season, with the Clippers. Playing with Paul George and Kawhi. He's gonna do well. He could still, after 1 year, opt out, go someplace else. So maybe there'll be more teams interested. He didn't have he had a poor season or not a great season.
Not his type of season, yeah.
And a lot of teams don't. If you're not going to win a champ, the only teams that would consider Russell Westbrook is teams that could win a championship. If you have a young team, you're not going to want. You'd rather have a lesser player play those minutes than have Russell Westbrook. There's no point of having Russell Westbrook on your roster.
Yeah.
Well, okay. So before Jokic, Russ 2.5, 3 seasons ago was a triple-double king. He was a triple-double leader. Okay. His issue is when he plays in a big market, he has a thin skin. Look how I think possibly the worst move that he made was going to the Lakers, because it showed that was your time. I don't know why they brought Carmelo on, but see, this is why I don't think LeBron should be in the front office. Just stay away.
Lay GM.
With him and Rob Pelinka though. So, but I will tell you, Russ, if you put him in a smaller market where you don't have aggressive fandom, I mean, you have it in every market, but
aggressive media, a media that's constantly.
That's in a major market.
Yeah.
He will thrive. People forget. See, I think with him and Kevin Durant and with Kyrie, people forget how great they were when they were on top of their game. So it's okay, yeah, you know what? Maybe right now, with Kyrie, I'll tell you, going to the Brooklyn Nets was the worst fucking thing he ever did. It changed the trajectory of his career. I think with Russ, it was LA. But because they are both thin-skinned, and I don't think that...
It's tough for a player to play at home. Kyrie Irving going back home, Stephon Marbury went back in the day.
Yeah, to New Jersey.
Russell going to LA, playing at UCLA, and then now Lakers and Clippers. It's where he wants to be. It's where players want to be. They want to be home. They want to be around their family. They want to be around their people.
Yeah.
To me, you say markets. To me, it's almost irrelevant at this point what market you're in because of social media. If you're thick-skinned, you're thick-skinned. If you're not thick-skinned, you're not thick-skinned.
That's an interesting point.
Because Kevin Durant, he's answering Twitter, fans on Twitter, or having arguments with people on Twitter. Whether he's in Phoenix, New York, Golden State, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
He's still going to have those people tweeting them. It's just different.
Well, I think also to your point too, he's kind of in that weird space where if he does go to a young team, like you said, John Wall, the Rockets put John Wall on the bench because they wanted to play Jalen Green.
Filling out a team is like putting a puzzle together, and all the pieces have to fit. For certain guys, like a Russell Westbrook, wouldn't fit on a lot of teams. He'd fit beautifully. Same thing with even Chris Paul right now. Yeah. Chris Paul on the Wizards would not have been a good fit. Chris Paul now on Golden State is an excellent fit, in my opinion. It's just roster construction, where you are, the timeline of when you want to win.
Yeah.
Some team, it's a business first, by the way, and just having certain players and being able to sell tickets to them is most important. I'm very curious to see what happens next year with LeBron based on where his son gets drafted.
Yeah.
And how high his son is going to get drafted, higher than maybe he should have, because LeBron may come with him. And the value of the franchise escalates. It could jump from $2.5 billion to $4 billion if LeBron goes to this team. And with Bronny,
yeah.
Let's say he should get drafted 22nd, but based on talent. Let's just say that. Does he get drafted in the top 8 because LeBron's going to come with him? And now you're going to sell out season tickets and sell out suites. And you might not win with LeBron at this point in his career, but you're going to be relevant and you're going to make the playoffs and you're going to have, him and his son playing together. That's going to be the story of the year next year. So to me, it's a business.
That's such an intriguing way to look at it.
And then looking at that, you look at Draymond, like you say, go to the Lakers. The Lakers may not extend Anthony Davis. All of these things have to play in Draymond's mind going into free agency. All these things are thought out.
Yeah, 4 years.
From the agent's perspective, you got to almost predict the future or try to predict the future as best you can.
Well, but taking that into account, though, I feel like a lot of teams might see LeBron as a liability.
Liability on the court, but I'm talking business.
Yeah, no,
Oh yeah,
business-wise.
business-wise, definitely.
Well, and to your point, as far as those people down at the bottom of the top of the lottery,
Right. Let's say you're Atlanta Hawks.
I was literally going to say the Hawks.
You're Atlanta Hawks.
That's actually
you got
great.
some good young players.
Yeah.
Or if you add like a LeBron to it, and you add Bronny to it, you sell out every game. You're on national TV every game.
Yeah.
Instead of losing in the first round, maybe you lose in the Eastern Conference Finals or the second round, and you're relevant.
Right.
Are they relevant today with a great player like Trae Young? They're probably in the bottom echelon
of relevancy.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's fair. No, that's 100% fair.
If you're Portland, you have Scoot, and then let's say they get a top 10 pick. Are you just going to take Bronny
and say, "Come on, LeBron"?
Yeah.
That's actually man. I
Yeah.
did not look at that like that. Because okay, well, just before we get off of the NBA, where do you think Bronny should get drafted? Because I think he went to
He's
the
improved.
worst school he could go to. For me,
Okay.
he went to USC. He decided to stay in California. He went to a school that doesn't really come on TV a whole lot. He went to a school that's they don't come on TV like that.
But that's gonna change.
No, not
Yes,
really. I mean,
yes.
to an extent, but like,
Yes.
But you can't change what our, what,
Yes. It'll change. It's based on demand.
well,
Pac-12 network isn't on Hulu.
yeah, that's what I'm saying.
It will be.
I don't get Pac-12 on the East Coast.
It will be.
I
No,
agree.
but that's what
because
I'm
it's Big
saying.
Ten.
That's what I'm saying in terms of just like national prestige.
It
they're not
will
on,
be.
They're not on Fox Sports.
It's about demand, though. That's what
If you were advising Bronny, where would you have you suggested him to go?
I mean, I would. He like. I feel like he's gonna get exposed because he wasn't a great player. He played with some good players at the high school that he went to, and going to a school that necessarily doesn't recruit elite top 5 players, it puts you in a position now where it's like, oh, okay, you're gonna have to do it, and it's already college. I feel like it's not as bad as when Shabazz went to UCLA, but it's in that realm. So if he goes and he does not look good, because I've seen him play and I'm like, yeah, all right, but he's not what they're projecting him or saying that he is. So he needed to go someplace like a Duke or one of those schools where he's surrounded with other elite guys. So then he'll have his moments. But then it's like, oh, well, he only averaged 15.
Yeah.
Well, he's got other guys with him. It's okay. He goes somewhere and is like, who else you got with you? And I'm averaging 15. It's not good. It's not a good look. Just my opinion of it.
I see the opposite. If people around you are elite and they're hitting triple doubles on the regular and you're not doing anything, that's gonna make you look even worse. I say you go to a mediocre school.
No. Well, look at Cam Reddish. Cam Reddish went and he was there with Zion. He was there with R.J. Barrett. His level rose because he was next to those other guys. So him not having these huge numbers, he was still a lottery pick.
Yeah, but I think he's more athletically inclined than Bronny is.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like I see it differently.
Okay. All right.
I understand your point.
But yeah.
It'll be interesting to see how it all plays out.
Yeah, but I hadn't looked at it from that perspective at all. So that definitely is going to be a story to be told in the next year or so.
Yeah, it'll be exciting to see how he does and where he ends up and where the draft is all going to be about Bronny next year.
That's true. All right, switching gears over to the MLB. We've got the Home Run Derby tonight. Ro, who you got for the Home Run Derby?
You know what? I'm going to sound so corny by saying this, but I am going to go with the favorite because, and I do, even though he's a Met, I do want Pete Alonso to win this. It'll be his third if he does. Vegas has him winning. But I want him to win because I like to see records evened up or broken. And Ken Griffey Jr. has won 3. I would love to see Pete, and maybe it'll just wake him up. Maybe it'll wake the organization up. But I think Randy Rosarena is my second, and I would say the kid from the Orioles is my third.
Okay. What about you, Ian?
Well, I like what you said about Pete Alonso. My son's favorite player is Pete Alonso, so I guess I'll
Polar bear.
be rooting for him.
Well, you're a Mets fan. Of course you're rooting for him.
As a Mets fan, I'd rather not see him even participate in the Home Run Derby. It wears these guys out. It messes up their swing when they get back. There's been a history of guys who've won it or done well in it, going back in the second half, not performing as well as they've done. So in my opinion, I wish he wasn't even in it. But that being said, Home Run Derby, I think any of the 8 contestants can win it. When I was looking at the odds, I was always looking at the people on the bottom, like Adley Rutschman, Mookie Betts, 12-1.
Yeah.
I think, from a betting perspective, I think it would be. I would put my money on some of the bottom 3. The Louis Robert, he's leading the league in home runs, and I saw like his velocity of his homers is the number one.
Number one.
Maybe there's some good value there.
Yeah.
It's a good watch. I enjoy watching it. I actually, for most All-Star, I don't like the NBA All-Star game. The Pro Bowl, I think, doesn't even exist anymore. What's like a 2-hand touch.
Who watches the Pro Bowl?
The only All-Star, I don't watch the hockey. I know they do something differently. Like in the tournaments, like with the divisions.
They do their divisions.
Right. But the baseball All-Star game is the only game worth actually watching. But because I love great players, I love seeing Shohei Ohtani against Mookie Betts and the elite against the elite, the Hall of Famers against the Hall of Famers, and that's really those head-to-head matchups are what I tune in for, not who wins the game, American League or National League. So,
do you still watch the Home Run Derby?
I do. Yeah, I enjoy it.
Yeah,
I enjoy it.
I don't watch it nearly.
I love it.
I still try to catch it, but I don't. I remember growing up and all the way up into college, like I would stop what I was doing to make sure I watched it. Now it's just like, man, it's all right.
I'll tell you when it became a regular thing for me, and it was with Mark McGwire and Sammy Sosa. Then I think that's when it just got like, it was very UFC-ish because it was like the hard hitters, right? Yeah. And that made it exciting. So, but I don't know. I get a kick out of it. To me, it's like the Kentucky Derby. I don't watch, I might not watch horse racing any other time of the year. I like, and I don't really like, I'm not putting bets in on the Triple Crown, but for some reason, just because of nostalgia, I want to see the Kentucky Derby.
Yeah. I'm going to go with Vlad Jr.
Okay.
He has that tailor-made home run swing with the uppercut swing for these types of events. And, he's won it in the past. So,
but he's batting against Mookie Betts.
Yeah, that's the first round matchup. Actually, so they have odds for first round matchups.
Okay.
It was like minus 175 for.
Yeah, I got Mookie on that all the way.
Well, see, but my thing is Mookie isn't he's not a natural home run hitter. He has home run power.
Yeah, he's small. He's a smaller guy, but he has 26 home runs this year. He has like 3 or 4 in the last 3 games.
Yeah.
And he has that competitive fire. He's such a great athlete.
If I was
he's
a Dodger
great basketball player. He's a great bowler. I think he bowls like 300 games.
No, he is a great bowler.
Yeah.
He is a great bowler. I have seen that. Yeah. I would not want him in the just like you though. If I was a Dodger fan, I would not want him in the home run derby at all.
No, because if
it can mess him up.
Who do you think is going to have the longest home run?
Oh, that's harder.
That could be Guerrero.
That's harder. Yeah.
Could be
Alonso Guerrero.
I think it's between Garcia and Pete Alonso.
That's fair. And then also talking about each of our teams, how do you feel about what's the state of the Mets, Ian?
Oh, terrible.
But Bobby Bonilla Day just passed, man. We're doing all right. He
didn't even know that they still paid Bobby Bonilla. I'm happy Bobby Bonilla Day.
I thought that they
got like another 10 or 12 more years. I think it's like 2033 or 35.
He's supposed to be in his 70s when it stops paying.
Wait a second. I saw a roster of the players that the Mets still pay
People talk about the Mets' salaries being so high and they should win, but they're paying the players that they've had. You're paying Nimmo $22 million. You're paying Marte $20 million.
Yeah.
You're paying Verlander and Scherzer in the 40 range.
Yeah.
They're not pitching at that level that they deserve that type of money. I know they've been great and they've won Cy Youngs and they've won World Series, but they aren't who they are. And then with the the baseball classic, Edwin Diaz, the closer, got injured. In the celebrating.
Yeah. That was so bad. I forgot about that.
It's just been a nightmare because I've had this discussion with my friends. They thought before the season, they were like, if the Mets lose in the NLCS, it's going to be a disappointing season. I'm like, no, it's not. It's so hard to win.
Yeah.
One team wins. Just because your salary is high, the Padres' salary is high, doesn't necessarily mean you're going to win. The Angels' salary.
Look at the Dodgers' salary.
The Dodgers could win. I mean, the
Dodgers are.
I enjoy baseball. Is my number 1 sport to watch on TV now, and I love West Coast baseball. I love falling asleep. The game started at 10 o'clock. I love listening to Joe Davis and the Dodgers. You're watching Ohtani and Trout, so I have the baseball package. It's just that's what I fall asleep to every night watching that. And I just like seeing greatness. And when you have such great players, you have the Padres, the Angels, and the Dodgers. You've got Hall of Famers all over the roster. You got multiple Hall of Famers.
Yeah, that's fair.
A few weeks ago, I went out to Anaheim to see the Angels play the Dodgers 2-game set. because I wanted to see Ohtani and Trout in person together against, Freddie Freeman, Betts, Clayton Kershaw pitched one game. And in the 2 games I went to, Trout and Ohtani were 0 for 12 combined with 2 walks.
Dang.
And Ohtani had like the best month ever in June.
Yeah.
And the 2 games I went to, he didn't hit. He did pitch, and he got the loss, but he only gave 1 run in 7 innings, which was fun. But just like that environment, seeing great pitching and having great seats, like right there by the dugout, by the Angels dugout, just was so much fun. Like, I like watching sports through my kids' eyes now more so than myself, because I've lost my fandom. I'm not a great fan. Other than the Giants, it's the team I've kept my whole life. There's really no other team that I support like that.
Sure.
I love watching my son when the Mets blow a big lead and he's pissed and he throws his iPad down, or he says, "I hate my life."
Yeah. You're like, yes,
Ryan,
yes, you get it.
That's
yes.
fandom.
That's good.
You hate your
That's
life
good.
because the Mets blew a 5-1 lead?
Yes.
I wish that's the worst thing in your life that ever happens, is that the Mets never win a World Series in
The
your life.
Giants and the Yankees regularly ruin my life.
Yeah, I don't have that emotional attachment.
Oh, I do.
Redskins, Capitals. I still feel that way. Wizards, it'd be all right. Cubs, it depends. Like in the playoffs, I feel that way.
Yeah.
Regular season, I just get pissed.
I like
get
the
pissed
local
at
teams to
stupid
do
stuff.
well because it's exciting in the area and everybody tunes in, everybody goes to the bars to watch the games, and that's fun. Like, I'll root for the Knicks in the playoffs, but like,
Yeah.
I never root for the Knicks.
Oh my.
I'll root for the Knicks if they're playing against the Celtics. That's the only time I'll root for the Knicks.
What about your Yankees, bro? What's the state
fuck
of your
my
Yankees?
life. I hate them. So they had
my life sounds like my son.
like literally it's okay. So now the injury with Aaron Judge ended up being worse than what was,
Oh no.
yeah, he has a torn ligament.
Yeah,
Okay.
I heard about that, but I didn't. It's worse.
So Aaron Boone, okay.
Aaron Boone rant alert. Aaron Boone rant alert.
See, I would always say it's the postseason bullpen management that's always fucked us up because of Aaron Boone. No, it's regular season too. We just closed out 3 games with the Cubs. We got clapped. Aaron Boone pulls Herman after the 4th. Mind you, last year during the
No, it was after the 6th. It was after the 6th.
Was it the 4th or the 6th?
It was the 6th. It was the 6th.
Okay, and how many?
Because you guys had gone back
And how
up.
many runs did Herman give up?
1. He gave up the home run to Seiya Suzuki. Go ahead.
Okay, but during the playoffs, shut up, Josh. During the playoffs, he didn't pull Aroldis Chapman after giving up 4 runs in 1 inning. No, we're gonna keep him in. Gives up 2 more runs. Now we're gonna, his confidence.
Everything's a solve. Yankees fired their hitting
First
coach.
of all, they fired their hitting coach right after yesterday's game because they've had the worst hitting average since Mickey Mantle in 1968. This is how bad it's become. And do you know who their hit leader is right now? It's Anthony Volpe. Okay?
It's not good.
Where's Giancarlo? Where is everybody? Like, at this point, can we bring Joey Gallo back? Because
I did not like when you guys let him go. Y'all should have kept him.
Well, and then he goes to the Dodgers and he's hitting these fucking moonshots every game. Like,
Change of scenery sometimes for athletes is the best thing.
yeah, but he's not doing dick now. But after we got clapped by the Orioles, like 13-0, I'm like, okay. Then Herman has a perfect game, which I know.
Anonymous source in the Yankees organization on Aaron Boone.
He lost the respect of the players, and it shows. Players don't want him around, and it's led to some awkward locker room moments, especially after a tough loss like today. Yikes. That grainy photo is how they feel about him.
It's just, you guys, you don't understand the amount of money that the Yankees put into this fucking team. They are a historic team, and I don't want to hear nothing from any Red Sox fan at all. Yes, we haven't had a title in over a decade. I understand that, but we have 27 pennants. We're good. What I don't like is the trajectory now. I've been saying Aaron Boone, here's his redeeming value, but now that's gone, is he used to go really hard for his players. He does. He fights for them. But if you don't know what you're doing at this point or aren't confident and you're losing games in the manner, you pull Herman after he gives up 1 run, but you didn't pull Chapman after 6? Suck my dick. Like, honestly, I'm over it. And this is so frustrating. You know, we got that momentum kind of boost after Herman had a perfect game, which you guys, by the way, is not a no-hitter, okay? There's a difference. Can we talk about this really quick?
Well, no, not today.
Really quick, there's a difference between a perfect game and a no-hitter. Everyone's like, what's the big deal? It's not a no-hitter. He pitched a perfect game. Nobody even got to first base, but we'll get to that at some other point. I am very disappointed in the Yankees. The fact that we beat the Rangers actually really surprised me, like 3 series ago. But I'm not liking it. I'm not confident in the rest of the year, but we're also in the hardest division. So
definitely in the hardest division. Not a question.
Yeah, I'm not right now. I'm struggling as a Yankees fan.
Well, short and sweet for me and the Cubs. We had a good weekend going into the All-Star weekend. Got 2 out of 3 on the Yankees in Yankee Stadium. First time ever beating the Yankees in Yankee Stadium, which I did not know. So
wow, I didn't know that either.
First time ever. That had never happened for any Cubs team. So when we won Game 1 in a shutout, it was the first time.
You know what? Good for the Cubs. Good for the Cubs.
So, but yeah, I mean, look, it just depends on how they come out of the All-Star break. We got the Cardinals, and I forget who else we play, but we have a stretch there where if they can win 6 out of 8 and get closer back to 500.
How many wins do you guys have?
We're, I think, like 42 and 47. It's something like that. So we're like, but our division is just hovering around 500. So it's like, if we get hot towards the end and keep just chipping away.
Clay Bellinger has been playing really well, huh?
He was hurt, and that we got really hurt at the beginning part of the season, and then that's how things cratered really fast.
Yeah, I've always liked Clay Bellinger.
Yeah, he's we'll see. But all right, we gotta get out of here on a couple things. So.
Wait, do we bring A-Rod in as a batting coach?
No. A-Rod is happy where he's at.
Bring in Mattingly.
Being able to smile on camera, that's A-Rod.
And talk about A-Rod.
A-Rod's position. I know that you went to UFC 290.
Correct.
What was your favorite moment of the night?
Favorite moment of the night? I really enjoyed that Pantoja-Moreno fight.
Me too.
Atmosphere was phenomenal. The scrambles were great.
Who won that fight?
I thought they made the right decision on Pantoja. I thought he won.
No, I disagree at all. No.
George shakes his head as well in the back.
No.
Can't get taken down 7 times in a title fight, my boy.
But he didn't.
Brandon wasn't even expected to be competitive.
Whoa, what do you mean? No, Brandon
is a lot of takedowns.
It was a lot of takedowns, but I will say,
George, who
did
you
he
say
do?
won the fight?
Pantoja.
Yeah.
I had fucking the other side money wise too.
As did I.
I knew. I was like, I knew this shit's over.
Okay, all right. Now, if you're saying that he won and you put money on it,
yeah, no, I was terrible.
God bless
I went
you.
2-5 in my picks.
Oh,
so I was terrible. But
man.
Robbie Lawler, man, I didn't expect that. I was a Robbie Lawler fan, but people that I know who told me take Nico Price, so I took Nico Price, and that was a quick loss. So.
Okay.
You all right?
Yeah, I got some news, but
I'm surprised you guys thought Moreno won the fight.
Yeah, I thought he did. I thought it was close, but
the people that I was around, and the majority of the people were Mexican. It was a great Mexican fan base.
Yeah,
they agreed. They thought Pantoja won. A very knowledgeable fan base, like around me too, which made it a lot of fun. Like we were talking to people. And,
that is a lot of fun.
Yeah, like it was good people, and they knew like the history and the Moreno with James Krause not being in his corner. They thought like it really affected him, and it was just interesting their point of view on different things. I had a good night there. It's different. The fights are different in Vegas compared to New York too. I love that it ends at 9:45, 10 o'clock. You can get dinner afterwards.
Yeah, you can have a night.
I'm falling asleep by the co-main and the main in the East Coast. So
that's too funny. All right. Well, I know that we wanted to get out on just a couple things. Ro, I'll let you take it away on the Fantasy Football League.
All right, so really quick, you guys, we are doing our first annual, the American Fan 365 Fantasy Football League. We would love for you to participate. We want an all-star crew This is how you can be a part of it. Either send in a request to be an entry to my DM at the front row on IG or the American Fan 365. 2 weeks from today, we will be pulling 10 names, actually 9 names, I'm sorry, live on air. We will form our team, and then the draft will be 2 weeks from then, around 5 or 6 o'clock. We will be doing it live. I will send you the format once everything is determined. But let's now just start with entries. So if you're interested, either let me know or the American Fan 365 know, and then we will get everybody's names in that fishbowl.
All right, and then also you see I got on the Fight Hoops warm up from this past weekend's Fight Hoops game with UFC fighters. Please DM us if you are interested in possibly picking up one of these. We'll be doing a giveaway for that in the next. I'll probably just do it online, and we won't have to make a big deal about it. But yeah, send out the messaging. And Ian, again, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you so much.
Thank you guys so much again for watching another episode of the American Fan 365 from Josh Williams,
The front row, and Georgie.
And Georgie in the back.
Love y'all.
We'll see you next time.